Hi, today we will talk about risk management. Risk management will be our main topic during the first half of the semester. So, in order to do this, we will define risk management and we will talk about DIM process, DIM for developing, implementing and managing the risk management plan. First, risk management and loss prevention basically are the same thing. It's about controlling the financial and personal injury losses from sudden, unforeseen, unusual accident and intentional torts. Basically, it's about preventing things from happening and if they happen, limit the consequences. Whose risk first? Everybody's risk, okay? Spectators, players, coaches, teachers, if you're in a school, obviously, the staff, the employees, the manager, the media. You have to make sure that they are safe in your facilities, and also the population surrounding the venue. So it's not only what's going on in the stadium or in the gym, but also the area surrounding the premises. That's important to notice that. Of course, everywhere, everywhere in the stadium, while you're using the equipment or while you are not using the equipment, of course, you need to be very careful of what's going on in the bleachers and the stands. We will study some cases about bleachers and stands. What's going on in the field or on the court, obviously, also. And as I said earlier, around the stadium as well. It's also about monitoring the climate, the weather, or other hazard. You probably heard about those golf players struck by lightning. Okay, now let's talk about the risk management plan. First, developing the risk management plan. It's about identifying the risk, classifying them, okay, and then selecting method of treatment of the risk. To identify the risk, you can do a lot of things. You can look at the literature, you can have surveys, audit of your employees to help the company to manage the risk better. You can also ask the help of professionals like insurance agents or lawyers. Those are specialists and they will give you very straight answers, very conservative answers also. You can also ask your colleagues what they think about your risk management plan. You can, the colleagues from your college, for example, or from your team, but also from other teams or other college. Of course, these colleagues will have more of a pragmatic point of view if you compare it to the lawyer or the insurance agent. So these point of views are very complementary. You can also ask your peers their opinion, which is the opinion of an average person. An average person could be a person in your jury if you get sued, okay? So sometimes if you don't know if you are doing something ethical, unethical, or do you think that this measure is strong enough to prevent the risk? When you are wondering this type of things, just ask anybody what they think about it. And you will get an opinion which may help you, because this guy, once again, could be the same person which would judge you in a trial. You can find some published standard in your textbook and also in the books that I recommended, and also on many publications available online at Canisius Library's website. Second step, you have to classify the risk, as I said earlier. Basically, there is two criteria: severity of the injury and frequency. You can't consider the same way a risk which is very strong but have little chances to occur, and a risk which is not very severe but happens all the time. Maybe you're gonna have to find different methods to treat those two risks. So, first method is try to avoid the risk. If the risk is too strong in one activity, I will just maybe eliminate the activity or part of the activity. I wanted to do some skydiving during my summer camp. You know what? It may be too risky. I just eliminate skydiving, period. You can also transfer the risk, because sometimes, you can't avoid the risk. For example, when you play football, there is a risk of injury for the players, okay? So what you will try to do is getting an insurance. If you are organizing little trips with your students, you're gonna need parents' consents, you may need waivers, and so forth and so on. You can also use an independent contractor, but be careful, because if you don't choose the independent contractor well, it still is your responsibility if there is a problem. Third method, retention, which means that you accept the risk and the potential losses. You know that if you play basketball at the college level or at the high school level, you're gonna have ankle sprains. You know, some of the students gonna injure themselves. That's part of sport also. So you need to accept a part of the risk, okay, as well. You can also try to reduce the risk, which means that you will try to limit the occurrence and the severity of potential injury and loss by different measures that you will take. For example, training your staff in crowd management to reduce any trouble which could occur if your team lose and the spectators become crazy in the stands. During this semester, we will talk a lot about risk reduction because basically that's the broadest spectrum of tasks. You want, for example, to maintain and do inspections of your premises. That's all about risk reduction there. If you have a roof leaking, you want to prevent somebody from getting injured. Working on emergency procedures. One of my players is hurt or one of my spectators is hurt. I want my staff to react as fast as possible. Of course, third thing, appropriate training of coaches and staff for every different aspects of the risk management. So usually you work on risk reduction by designing a regular systemic inspection program. That will be the topic of our midterm. So to help the treatment of the risk, there is a little matrix which is provided in your book. I think that's pretty good to keep that in mind. If you have catastrophic losses which happen frequently, you know, the method that you need to use is obviously avoidance. You can't continue this activity anymore. If you have a moderate loss and it happens with a low frequency, maybe you can transfer part of the responsibility and try to reduce part of the risk, of course, to still limit the frequency or limit the gravity of the injury, for example, as much as you can, and so forth and so on. So try to keep this matrix in mind, and it will help you to assess your risk and find an adequate method to manage the risk. Implementing the risk management plan now. Basically, the main thing, I believe, is obviously preparing the team. You can have the best plan in the world. If you didn't train your staff, it's not worth it. So be careful. Having an efficient communication is extremely important. Maybe you want to use conference guidelines, etc. But that's not enough. You also need to involve the employees in the risk management process. You need to encourage suggestions, maybe with an audit, maybe simply with little questionnaires or just with talking with your employees, obviously. And, you know, you really want them to be proactive in your plan. And also, you need to train your employees because you can do as many written guidelines as you want, as many conferences as you want. When you want your employees to be prepared in case a fire would occur, you need to train them. And if you don't have a training, a fire training at some point, they will not be trained. Okay. So you want to make sure that you organize workshops, sound training programs, classroom trainings, and so forth and so on. Now, risk management, that's also managing the plan on daily basis. In order to do that, you need to designate a risk manager, if that's not you, obviously, and also define the authority of the risk manager with a written document. You know, it's always better to have proof, which means written documents. Define the role of each member of the staff or some staff members. You have to be organized on daily basis. Okay. It's not about that one day training that you got 6 months ago or the written guideline that you provide to your staff members. It's also about, for example, if you have a sport event, you have a game tonight. Okay. Does everybody know what they're going to have to do in case of a major problem? For example, an injury or the crowd which becomes very agitated and hard to manage. What are we doing? What each individual is doing. Fourth point, it's about using employees' feedback to update and improve the plan on daily basis. Okay? So the management depends a lot on planning. Thank you. That's all for now.